we have enough vegetables to make salsa. So let's get cooking. We are in the midst of getting salsa going. Olivia, my faithful helper, is busy chopping peppers. We need 5 cups of peppers, so she's working on that. She started to work on the tomatoes, and then I read the directions and you have to take the skins off. So I'm getting some water boiling so I can blanch these tomatoes. Got supper in the crock pot, so I don't have to worry about that later. And we've got the canner going. The clean jars are in there getting hot, so they can be all ready to go when the salsa's ready. Got these hot peppers. I'll do the hot peppers and onions because those are actually kind of painful jobs, you might say. So when we get all these vegetables chopped and ready to go to the next step, I'll bring you back and I'll go over the recipe with you for my salsa. So far we have 5 cups of green peppers, sweet bell peppers, diced in the pot, and to this I'm going to add 5 cups of diced onion. Olivia is working on the tomatoes. She's about half done with those, and I'm going to start working on the jalapeno peppers. Okay, so I'm chopping my jalapeno peppers, and I decided I was going to taste every one as I chopped them to determine how much I'm actually going to put in. The recipe calls for 2.5 cups of jalapeno peppers. Now, the first time I picked jalapeno peppers a couple of weeks ago, they were mild. I mean, they tasted like green pepper with a little bit of spice. These peppers now, just in a matter of a couple of weeks, and they're not even that big. They didn't even get that big. They are so stinking hot. My lips are tingling, absolutely tingling. So I'm only going to put half a cup of jalapeno in my salsa and 1 of these chili peppers, and that is it. I like spicy, but I don't like painful. If anybody has any ideas on what I can do with all of these jalapeno peppers, because my plants are absolutely loaded, let me know, because I thought about pickling some of them, but if they're this hot, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do. My lips are burning. Oh, and I like spicy stuff. Holy moly. Okay, so into the pot is 1/2 cup of burning hot jalapeno peppers. That is plenty. I'm telling you, that will be enough to make this just the right amount of spice. And now I'm going to chop up that 1 red chili pepper and throw that in. The pot is very full, so we've got a little over 10 cups of tomatoes, diced tomatoes in here, and then I went ahead and diced up the rest of our sweet yellow banana peppers just to kind of make up for the volume of the jalapenos that I did not put in. Now, I think the only other ingredient I need to put in here is apple cider vinegar, and then I have to bring all of this mixture to a boil. So let me get that measured, let me check my recipe, and make sure there's nothing else I need to add. Quite enough apple cider vinegar, so I just finished it off with white vinegar. And so in here goes 1 1/4 cup of vinegar. Then it called for 3 teaspoons of salt. And it doesn't say ball canning salt, so I'm assuming it's just table salt. And I use sea salt because there's no iodine in it. And then 3 cloves of garlic. And the garlic that I use is this frozen stuff. And 1 cube equals 1 clove. So I'll put 3 of those in. It's just so much more convenient than trying to keep fresh garlic on hand. I tend to not use it very fast, and then I end up throwing it away because it gets yucky. So I really like this frozen stuff. So 3 cloves of garlic. And let me check my recipe one more time and make sure I have everything in it. And the last ingredient it called for was cilantro, which I do not have, but I went and picked some of my fresh parsley out of the garden and diced that up, chopped it up nice and fine, and we add that to the pot. So now what we have to do is turn the heat on and get this boiling. When it's ready to put in the jars, I'll be back to show you the next step. So canning salsa is the same as if you watched my pickle video. The process is the actual canning process. So I always have 2 jars going at the same time so that I have someplace to put the funnel between jars. And you fill it to 1/2 inch head space, which I think I filled that a little too full. And you have to debubble. Now debubbling does make it go down some, so if you do get it a little full, that's okay. That does look too full, so let me get a spoon and I'll scoop some of that out. So you want it at a 1/2 inch headspace, which that's exactly where it's at. Let me debubble one more time. You just want to really make sure there's no air bubbles in there. And then, very, very important step of all the steps, this is the most important one, to wipe the rim. And I dipped a paper towel in a little bit of white vinegar, and you just make sure that the rim is very, very clean. If there's any debris on there, then you will not get a proper seal. So then I'm going to use my little handy magnet tool here to get a lid and a ring. And then you just fingertip tight. You don't want to ratchet it down because air bubbles have to come out. That's how it seals. I'm going to go put this in the canner and get another jar, and I'll show you one more time how to do it. So one more time here. I'm going to scoop my jar a little closer so I don't make a mess. And always a good idea to have a tea towel down so that it's easier cleanup for your counter. And just fill the jars to 1/2 inch head space. Debubble. And if you're unsure of if the head space is right, you can check it. But you kind of learn by just eyeballing it. So yeah, that's about right. So maybe just a tiny, tiny bit over, but that's not going to matter. And obviously, very important step is to wipe the rim. Now I checked these rims. This jar has a little bit of a problem. So I'm thinking I may not be able to use this jar. So I'm going to go ahead and I checked these when I washed the jars, but I didn't notice this jar has a little bit of a defect on the rim, and so that will not seal properly. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that back in there, and I'm not going to use this jar to can with. I'm going to have to put a piece of tape or something on that to remind myself that that jar, you cannot can with it because there's a defect on the rim. So I'll go ahead and fill this jar, and hopefully I don't need 7 pints. The recipe says it'll take 6 pints, but I had an extra pint jar just in case. And what I can do, if I decide, if I need to, I can use that jar just to put extra salsa straight into the refrigerator and not can it, and we'll just use it right away. If I need that extra jar, that's what I'll end up doing. Wipe the rim. Check headspace. I thought I saw something on that rim and I thought it was just like a discoloration or something, but there's actually a defect on it, so I'm not going to use that jar. Okay, so we get our lid and a ring and it's fingertip tight. In the canner it goes. Well, we have a little bit of a problem. The recipe said that it would make 6 pints. So I have 6 pints in the canner. And then I had this one jar that the rim is not good, so I'm not going to can in it, and I have that full, so that's 7. And then we have this much left in the pot. At least 2 more. So I think that was a misprint. I think it should have said 9 pints. I don't know. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of the rest of this salsa, because I don't have any more jars hot. Well, I'll figure that issue out, and what I'll probably do is just have to do another batch today. Once this is done, I'll do another batch. So now that this is in here, I put this thing on, put the lid on, and then crank this up to can, all the way up to canning. Once this comes to a rolling boil, then I set my timer for 20 minutes. I do not time it until after it has come to a rolling boil. When I've gotten all my canning done, I'll bring you back and show you the finished product. So here is the final product. I did get 9 pints exactly out of that recipe, so it obviously was a misprint in my book, and I marked the book so next time I do salsa I won't make that mistake again. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you enjoyed it, give me a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, just hit that subscribe button so you can see all my adventures at my country home. Bye, friends!